In a surprising turn of events, the Supreme Court has decided to delay its much-anticipated ruling on the Trump-era tariffs, a move that has caught many by surprise and left the legal and business communities scrambling for answers. This unexpected pause leaves American trade policy in a state of limbo, with no clear direction for the near future. Exporters, importers, and manufacturers are now left waiting, uncertain about how to plan for the months ahead. The court offered no explanation for the delay and set no new date for a decision, deepening the sense of uncertainty for businesses, policymakers, and legal experts who have been closely watching the case. Many are left speculating about the reasons behind the postponement. With billions of dollars at stake and the future of U.S. trade relations hanging in the balance, the delay has real-world consequences. Companies are forced to make tough decisions without knowing what the legal landscape will look like. At the heart of the case is a challenge to whether the executive branch exceeded its authority by imposing sweeping tariffs under the justification of national security. The outcome could redefine the limits of presidential power in trade matters. For now, the high tariffs on steel, aluminum, and a range of other imported goods remain firmly in place, prolonging economic pressures for companies large and small across the country. Many industries are feeling the squeeze as costs rise and global competition intensifies. The business community, political leaders, and international partners must continue to navigate a costly and unpredictable trade environment, making it difficult to plan investments, negotiate contracts, or build long-term strategies. The Supreme Court's delay keeps the national debate over protectionism versus free trade alive, with significant implications for the Biden administration, Congress, and America's role in the global economy. The stakes could not be higher as lawmakers and analysts await clarity. For now, all eyes remain fixed on the Supreme Court's next move, as the nation waits for a decision that could reshape the future of American trade policy for years to come. The tariff saga began in 2018, marking a dramatic turning point in U.S. trade policy and international economic relations. That year, President Trump invoked Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, a rarely used provision that allows the president to restrict imports on the grounds of national security. Using this authority, the administration imposed steep tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, aiming to protect American industries from what it called unfair foreign competition and to revitalize domestic manufacturing. The move, justified as a national security measure, sent shockwaves through global markets. It triggered swift retaliation from major trading partners, including the European Union, China, and Canada, who imposed their own tariffs on American goods. At home, a wave of lawsuits erupted from U.S. importers and manufacturers who argued the tariffs hurt their businesses. Legal challenges quickly followed, with plaintiffs arguing that the tariffs represented an unconstitutional overreach of executive power. They claimed that Congress, not the president, should have the final say in setting trade policy, raising fundamental questions about the separation of powers. While lower courts largely upheld presidential authority to act in the name of national security, the economic fallout was immediate and complex. Domestic steel and aluminum producers saw a boost, but manufacturers and small businesses faced higher costs for raw materials, leading to price hikes and market volatility. When President Biden took office, his administration inherited the tariffs. Rather than rolling them back, the new administration maintained them, using the tariffs as leverage in ongoing global trade negotiations and diplomatic talks. Interestingly, both the Trump and Biden administrations' stances on tariffs blurred traditional partisan lines, with lawmakers from both parties divided over the issue. This bipartisan split only added to the complexity of the legal and political battle. After years of heated litigation and uncertainty, the Supreme Court finally agreed to hear the case, raising hopes that a definitive ruling could bring much-needed clarity to the future of U.S. trade policy. Yet, with today's delay, the uncertainty only deepens. Business owners, workers, and policymakers alike are left waiting, unsure of what the next chapter in this ongoing saga will bring. This case is a pivotal test of the separation of powers in the U.S. at stake, whether Congress gave away too much authority to the president to impose tariffs under the broad national security justification. If upheld, future presidents could unilaterally impose tariffs, sidelining Congress from major trade decisions. If struck down, it would reassert congressional control and likely invalidate billions in tariffs. The delay leaves this fundamental constitutional question unresolved, keeping U.S. trade policy on shaky ground. The eventual ruling will shape the balance of power over American trade for years to come. The Supreme Court's pause means businesses must keep absorbing high tariff costs, stalling investment and growth. Domestic steel and aluminum producers get a temporary reprieve, but uncertainty makes long-term planning risky for everyone. International partners face continued trade barriers, risking further retaliation and strained negotiations. financial markets react with volatility as investors brace for prolonged trade disputes. Politically, the delay forces the Biden administration to juggle competing interests and keeps tariffs a hot topic ahead of elections. Both parties use the uncertainty to rally their bases, fueling the ongoing debate. The court's inaction ensures tariffs remain a central, divisive issue. The Supreme Court's decision to delay a ruling has reignited a fierce and passionate debate across the country, drawing renewed attention from politicians, industry leaders, and everyday Americans alike. The issue of tariffs, long a flashpoint in economic and political circles, is once again at the forefront of national conversation. Supporters of the tariffs, including prominent steel industry leaders and several major unions, have welcomed the continued protection. They argue that these tariffs are not just about economics. They are vital for safeguarding national security and preserving American jobs. Many believe that without these measures, domestic industries would be left vulnerable to unfair foreign competition, risking the livelihoods of thousands of workers and their families. Politicians from key industrial states echo these sentiments, urging the Supreme Court to uphold the president's authority to impose tariffs. They claim that strong executive action is necessary to defend American interests and keep local economies thriving, especially in regions heavily dependent on manufacturing. On the other side, opponents such as the National Foreign Trade Council and many business leaders decry the delay as deeply harmful to manufacturers and consumers. They argue that prolonged uncertainty disrupts supply chains, increases costs, and ultimately hurts American families. These critics urge the court to rein in what they see as executive overreach and restore balance to trade policy. Economists add another layer to the debate, pointing to job losses in sectors that rely heavily on imported metals. They warn that tariffs can lead to higher prices, reduced competitiveness, and even factory closures, affecting communities far beyond the steel industry. Lawmakers remain sharply divided. Some frame tariffs as a strategic defense of American industry, while others denounce them as unconstitutional and economically damaging. The split reflects deep ideological differences over the role of government in trade. At the heart of the debate is a fundamental question about constitutional authority and the real-world impact on businesses and families. The Supreme Court's eventual decision will shape not only trade policy, but also the balance of power between branches of government. As the nation waits for clarity, Americans from all walks of life are left wondering how the court's ruling will affect their jobs, their businesses, and the future of the country. With the Supreme Court's decision on hold, key questions remain. The case could be rescheduled for next term, or a related ruling could come sooner. Timing is uncertain. Congress may seize the moment to reform Section 232, reclaiming some authority over trade. The Biden administration could also negotiate new deals, sidestepping the legal battle. Diplomatic moves or legislative action could reshape the conflict before the court rules. For now, businesses, allies, and consumers face more uncertainty. The next move by the court or Congress will be pivotal, and we'll be watching closely.